Hey, I'm Stephanie Rubletz, and I'm actually right now future editing Stephanie, which normally future editing Stephanie would not pop into a video this early on, certainly not at the beginning. However, here's the situation. We were supposed to do the So Ask Me Anything vlog hop this week, but because of all the things, you know, there's all the things going on right now. People are learning how to work from home, people are learning how to homeschool their kids, people are learning how to be in their homes without losing their sanity, and there are also a lot of superstars that are out there having to work overtime, trying to make sure that those of us who are trying to stay self-quarantined are able to get what we need out in the world. So here's the thing, is some of our participants really just needed a little bit of extra time to do their videos, and I thought, hey, fair enough, let's not make this stressful. So we're actually going to do the vlog hop next week. This week I have a video that I actually filmed last week in a simpler time, when my kids were still going to school and I had some time to myself in the house. So I'm going to show you that video this week, and then next week I will see you for the vlog hop. So I hope that everybody is happy and healthy and able to do whatever they need to do to maintain their health right now, mental health and physical health, and so hopefully one of those things is getting to spend some time doing the things that you love. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey, I'm Stephanie Rubletz. Welcome back to my channel. Today we were talking about a comment that I hear all the time from people, which is, I would sew more. I would love to sew more. I just don't have the time. And I hear ya, it's hard, but we're going to talk about that today. So here I am. I've just dropped my littlest off at preschool. I am still in my pajamas. Yeah, that's right. I'm that mom. And I have a little over an hour before I have to pick her up. I mean, by the time I get in and make myself a cup of tea, it'll be an hour. So there are totally other things I could be doing right now. I could totally be putting my laundry away or getting out of my pajamas, but I'm gonna sew instead. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna sew something in an hour. Now, sometimes it's just about getting something done. It's just about getting to your machine or cutting some patterns or something. Just to feel that little bit of creativity, like you've done something, it just can do you a world of good. So I want to encourage you today to just, if you're having a hard time doing the thing that you love, that was a really loud garbage truck, I'm sorry. If you're having trouble finding the time to do this kind of stuff, then just see if you can eke out an hour, even a half an hour. And you don't have to do a whole thing. Like, you don't have to do a project from beginning to end. You can finish something, and you know, all of us, I'm sure, have a bunch of UFOs sitting around. You could start something. You could, do you have a big pile of mending that's staring at you every time you walk past it? Maybe just pick a thing. Just pick a thing. So today, I'm picking a thing. I'm going to do it for an hour. All right, let's go. Okay, so I'm here in my kitchen, which has been undergoing a bit of a facelift for entirely too long. And we still have some bits and bobs to do. We have to like put the stainless steel around the stove and some trim and some little things. But here's the thing, okay? I'm gonna show you. Okay, first off, don't pay attention to the fact that there's no cupboard door there. I still have to paint it and put it back on. But we've got this double oven here, and I love it. And I often am using both ovens. And having a tea towel here is fine when I'm using the top oven. But when I'm using the bottom oven, it gets in the way and it's like a bit of a fire hazard. And so I just end up like taking my tea towels and shoving them through here when I'm using the bottom oven. But I'm a little afraid that this is gonna over time like wear the paint that I put on my drawer. So I'm gonna make some of those, you know, like your mom and your grandma probably had the towels that like button around here. That's what I'm gonna make today. So let's see what I can get done in an hour. All right, so I have this pack of bar towels that I got at the grocery store the other day. Now, I do like the width here, but I have to decide, like, I want it to be a little bit longer than it is when it's folded. And I think I would like it gathered rather than just folded straight. So I'm kind of playing with that and really just seeing kind of how I want this thing to turn out. So yeah, half, I feel like that's not quite long enough. I want that to be a little bit longer than that. And I feel like if I gather it and then fold it, there's just gonna be like way too much bulk to put inside the cap that we're sewing for this. So I am gonna cut a little bit off so that I can gather it and not fold it. This is gonna leave me with like a little bit of a weird piece that I'm cutting off that obviously like you probably wouldn't use that scrap for anything. But I'll probably just end up using it for a dusting rag or something like that, so it won't go to waste, it'll still end up getting used. Now, like I said, I do like the width that it was when it was folded, which is 6 inches, so that's what I'm gonna base my pattern on. All right, so I have a plain piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, and I'm gonna fold that in half so that I can create my design on just half of it, and then when I cut it, I will get my full pattern. All right, so being that it needs to be 6 inches across finished, I am going to do my half pattern at 3 inches plus a 1/2 inch of seam allowance plus an extra 1/4 inch, because remember we're gonna be stuffing a big thick towel into this, so we need a little bit of extra ease there. So all in all, I made that measurement 3 3/4 inches. All right, now I'm gonna put my seam allowance on the bottom and on the open side of my paper. And I'm going to mark 2 inches for the part of this cap that's going to be full width, and then I'm going to start grading that into the piece that comes through the drawer pull. And I want that piece to be 2 inches, so since I'm doing only half of my pattern here, I am going to mark that at 1 inch. All right, now I have my curvy design ruler that I'm gonna use to make a curved line from one to the other, and I'm just kind of eyeballing what I think looks cute. Look, if you don't have one of these, don't worry about it. Grab a dinner plate, it'll do the same thing. And I'm just going to sort of smooth out those transitions just a little bit more. Now I have to decide how long I want that tab to be that's gonna fold through the drawer pull. And again, I'm just doing what I think is gonna look okay. All right, I think basically where I put that fold is the longest that I want this thing to be. So since I've made kind of swoopy, roundy edges, I'm just going to keep that theme on the end of that as well. Now I need to go back and add my seam allowance to the rest of the design. I'm just using eyebology here, so like you don't gotta be too fussy on it. Now I'm going to cut my design out, and then I've got my pattern. There you go, so that's kind of what it's gonna look like. So I do wanna mark where my button is gonna go and where my buttonhole needs to end. So I'm just using an awl and punching through both pieces. All right, so I've got these fabrics kind of laying around and like a crap ton of lace, which I don't even know if I'll use because it's actually not super my style, but I mean, I'm really just sewing to sew. I've also got this bias tape, which is in a navy, which I think kind of goes with the one with the bigger flowers because there is some navy blue outline and then the lighter blue in that too. So I think I'm gonna stick with these fabrics here and that should be cute. The lace is, I don't know, it's cute with it. Honestly, I'm probably gonna wind up with something that does not go with my kitchen, but hey, maybe it'll be a nice gift. It's really just about the doing today. All right, so because I'm trying to be fast, I'm gonna try and batch as many of my actions as possible. So obviously that's why I'm going to double up my fabric so that I'm cutting more than one layer at a time, and I'm gonna try and batch as much as I can going forward. I'm kind of trying to match that flower up so that it's in the center, and then when my tab comes down, I'm hoping to have some of that flower sort of still sticking out underneath it. I think that'll be cute. I am still cutting with the selvage intact because it's a 1/2 inch, so that's what my seam allowance is, so waste not. All right, so here I've got both of my pieces, and I'm just going to remove my pattern, and then I'm going to flip my one piece around so that I have right faces together. I'm gonna pop a couple of pins in here, and remember I'm trying to bulk as many of my actions as I can, so I'm going to just put this aside and I'll get the first bit of sewing kind of pinned up and ready to go on my tea towel as well. That way I can just go to my machine once and run that through before moving on. Alright, so I've got this bias tape here, and I'm kind of thinking that if I open it up and kind of have a wider stripe, that might be a cute thing. Now, if I wasn't, I could either put it up higher and not do the lace, but this lace is kind of growing on me, so I think I'm going to put that stripe right at the bottom so that I can have the lace hanging off. And just having that bias tape behind the lace is really going to help showcase that scalloped edge on the lace. So first thing, I'm pinning on just the bias tape and I'm having it go around the edge of the towel. So I'm gonna go and sew that edge on the bias tape and all the way around my cap. All right, those are done. So now I need to clip and notch around all of my curved edges in my cap. If there's an actual word for this, feel free to put it in the comments. I don't know, that's why I'm calling it a cap. Towel top thingy just didn't seem to have a nice ring to it. All right, there we go. It's all turned out. So I'm gonna go make sure all my edges are nice and crisp, throw some pins in, and then I also need to turn in the opening of this cap. And then I'm going to go and run it under the iron. And I'm also just gonna iron the bias tape that I put on the towel just because it does have that center crease. It was a double fold. And as luck would have it, this lace is basically like it's the perfect length. There's an exact amount of peaks in between the two edges of the towel, which means I have one peak overhanging on each side, which will fold around perfectly, which is just kind of okay, fine. It was made for it. I gotta do the lace. I gotta do it. Look at how perfect that came together. So satisfying when that happens. All right, now I'm gonna go and stitch the lace on. And I'm going to baste the top. Okie doke, my lace is on and I have a basting stitch through the top, but then I realized I actually want to fold just the edges around and then have it gathered. So maybe it would be better to actually fold the edges and then baste through them. So I'm gonna go back and do that part again. All right, so I've never tried to gather terry cloth before. She don't gather. She's just not into it. So it wasn't happening. It was not happening. So I just, watch, I rip the thread. It's so bad. So plan C, good old needle and thread. All right, here we go. She's gathered. She's kind of tucked in. The edges are curved around and I can just push all of this into the cap now. This is definitely looking a little bit more frilly-ish than I would typically like. So yeah, it's probably gonna wind up as a gift. All right, I'm going to stitch the towel in and then I'm just gonna top stitch all the way around. All right, I found a button that I like. So if you remember, we marked where the bottom of the buttonhole had to go. So that's where I put it. Now I'm just going to stick a pin across the inside of the buttonhole at the top and rip that open with my stitch ripper. There we go, and the pin prevents me from going through the top of the buttonhole. The last thing to do, sew on that button. And there we go, she's all done. Now, I think I'm probably gonna move this button up because the bottom of the flower is not really sticking out underneath that thing the way I wanted it to be. But all in all, I think it's pretty cute, and I will move the button later because, you know, I only got 1 hour. And there it is, beautifully covering up the fact that I have no cupboard door. I hope this inspired you to take an hour out of your week, even out of your month, and do something creative that you love. I am about to head out right now to go pick up my little from preschool, and then we are heading out to do the rest of our errands for the day. And you know what? I can just put the laundry away when I get home. All right, I'll see you next week.